22 years ago, Age of Mythology was released to the world for the first time and quickly became one of the most popular RTS games and my favorite RTS game of all time. And today that game is back. Today, Age of Mythology Retold exits its early access phase, and so begins another chapter in my quest to find the perfect RTS game. Now, I want to be clear with you guys before I start saying anything here. This video is meant for anyone that's interested in learning what Age of Mythology Retold is all about, but my main focus here is going to be trying to frame my arguments in a way that most appeal to the Starcraft community. And to do so, I will be comparing these two games throughout this review. As a lot of you know, I was a StarCraft 2 player for roughly 14 years and only recently needed to take a break from the game. And if you're interested in learning more about what's keeping me away from SC2 currently, I definitely recommend checking out my video titled The Stormgate Situation is Crazy. I'll leave a link in the description at the top below if you guys are interested in that. And I do think that video is important to watch as well because it will show you guys that I'm not just simply here to just shove a new game in your face and tell you about how good it is and how amazing it is. My Stormgate review will show you that if you make a bad RTS game, I will come for you. I will come after you with the wrath of God. Or more accurately, in this case, the wrath of Zeus. So the most common thing I see amongst all the big RTS games, and something I saw missing from a bad RTS game like Stormgate, was simply just fun and exciting moments. I know, crazy. Moments like a group of burrowed banelings exploding and killing a group of marines instantly and changing the tide of a game completely.
Queens taking damage, a queen falls, but Scarlet on the regroup is... Oh my god! Oh my god!
Or a group of widow mines burrowing and getting insane hits on both players.
The banelings, the banelings, the banelings!
Oh, they're gonna... The mutalists... Oh my god!
Fireworks!
Everything...
And after my first day of playing Age of Mythology Retold, I had already experienced so many moments exactly like this. And in fact, there are some unique features about Age of Mythology compared to other games in the Age of Empires franchise that bring a lot more of these exciting moments that you would not typically see in those other games. And for starters, for those of you who have never played any of these games or seen any of these Age of Empire games before, here are some basics on how each of the races work. So looking at the game here, before you actually want to start any game, you want to pick which god you want to play as. So for those who don't know, this is your choice here, and you get a choice. You get your Greek gods, you got your Egyptian gods, you got your Norse gods, and you got your Atlantean gods. Shout out to my boy Kronos, by the way. He's very fun to play. So this brings us to the game itself. So right away when you boot up any game, you're going to be presented with some very familiar RTS tools. You're going to have your town center, which is like your command center. It's going to be the thing that builds your villagers, and your villagers are going to be the guys that mine your resources. And you start the game with a few villagers, and you start the game with a scouting unit that you can kind of go around the map and scout what's around your base. And the thing that makes this unique from other Age of Empire games is this top bar at the top of the screen. So each god that you can pick from will be given a choice of a new ability to add to this top bar every time you advance to the next age. And every time you advance to the next age, these abilities will increase in strength and how ridiculous they are. So these abilities will range from like anything from like a bolt of lightning that can just snipe a unit down at any point in the game to like an ability that'll turn a tree line into a bunch of attacking siege units so that you can snipe someone's town center really quickly. And like ability where you have like a vortex that'll swallow an entire army and then spit them out as if you had just tried Stormgate for the first time. I'm sorry, I really gotta stop making fun of Stormgate. I'm still mad about it. You guys gotta give me some time here. That was my last joke. That was the last one. And one of the coolest and like most hilarious things in this game is like the physics and the way that the units interact with things. Just watch me discover that vortex ability that I just described for the very first time. Oh my god, it's a black hole. Oh shit, that's cool. Oh my god, I'm going in it. Oh my god, I'm going in it. Oh shit. No. Whoa. That moment genuinely made me feel the same level of enjoyment, if not more enjoyment than the first time I used the vortex on the mothership in SC2. And just the way like the units fling around and how you can watch them all hit their heads on the buildings and like develop concussions individually is one of the funniest things I've seen in an RTS game. And like they just dig into this like physics mechanic, by the way. Like you can do this with lots of units where you can just send other units flying across the map. And it doesn't even really end there by any means, guys. Like there are god abilities where you can like set off a massive earthquake that will destroy an entire city. Like there's an ability where you can summon a group of wolves to attack everybody's town centers. I think that there's an ability where you can summon a dragon that like just sets the ground on fire and just does AoE damage, and it's really fun to play with. But like I don't want to like talk too much about all the abilities because I don't even want to spoil them for you guys. Because honestly, like one of the best experiences I've had is just finding these things in real time and like having these things happen to me in game for the first time is just so fun. I don't want to ruin that experience too much. But one thing I will gladly show you guys is what is probably the most like funny, unique slash cool thing I've seen in a game, and it's the ability to spawn what's called a Titan. So how this works is essentially if you get to the very, very late game where you get the final age and you get a bunch of money saved up, you get this upgrade on your town center called Secrets of the Titans. And what happens is when you research it, it allows you to build this new kind of structure. It takes a while to build, like a really, really almost there. And when this finishes, you're going to be rewarded with the coolest thing I've ever seen in a game. I'd say it's worth the wait. And I want to share this clip of the very first time this week that I ran into a Titan in an online match. And I think my reaction says it all here. It's so cool how you can zoom in like extra far, like compared to normal. Like that's so cool. Oh my. What the Oh my god, my lightning did nothing. Whoa. Ah. What the Run. Run away. Shoot him. Fire. It did nothing. So yeah, I think that just about does it for this section on fun and exciting moments. Now I'd like to take some time to talk about Age of Empires as a game versus Starcraft. And the three biggest things that I'll see the average Starcraft player say about Age of Empires is that it's either too slow, the pathing is bad, or they don't like hero units. And I'll admit to you guys, Age of Empires is not a fast-paced game. Definitely not as fast as StarCraft 2. And for starters, any Age of Empires game is extremely economy focused. So in Age of Mythology, you have 5 different resource types that you can see in the bottom corner here. You got your supply, which is regular for an RTS game. This is how you build more units as you build more houses so you can support more population. You've got your food, which you get from either the animals that spawn on the map. You can get it from berry bushes that spawn next to your base. You can get it from farms that you build later in the game. You get that, I think, in Age 2. Or you can get it from fishing even. And then you have your wood, which you obviously get from chopping down trees. And then you got your gold, which you get from mining gold. And then finally you have your favor, which is a little bit unique. You mine it differently depending on which god you choose. But in total, you got your 5 resources. And that's compared to StarCraft 2, where you got your minerals and you got your gas. And they spawn in the exact same 2 positions every single game. Now, this immediately makes economic management significantly harder and more time consuming to manage. And personally, I really enjoy the economy management side of things in an RTS. I always found it weird personally And this isn't a shot at StarCraft, but I just always found it weird how in the StarCraft universe, every single planet you landed on always had two Vespian geysers with like a mineral field in between them. Like no matter where you went, it just feels like more realistic in Age of Empires universe to like, like you chop down trees to build houses, you collect food to build workers and villagers, and you collect gold to research upgrades. It just makes sense to me from a design standpoint. Now, from a gameplay standpoint, like I said, it's not easy. In fact, I found it very frustrating to learn like just a basic build order in Age of Empires for the first time. Like the workers kind of mine resources very slowly, especially at the start of the game, and they ramp up like throughout. You get a lot of upgrades that will like speed up the mining. But like in the early game, when you have like a slow build order, like any mistake you make in the early game gets like greatly exaggerated as the game goes on. So it like was a really frustrating time for me initially trying to learn how the game works and stuff. So I definitely like to caution people about that. And that's really the biggest thing that will stop anybody from really jumping into any new RTS game. And that's what I call the new RTS brain fog. This is where you load up a new RTS for the first time, or any video game really, and you basically spend your entire first day reading stats on units and abilities and like not understanding how things work properly and generally just getting like that gamer headache from like all like that influx of all that new information. And with Age of Empires, that new RTS brain fog can really hit hard. This is why I always recommend people start with the campaign if they can, because not just because Age of Empires has like legitimately good campaigns every single time, but because the campaign is actually just like the best tutorial for how the game works and getting you into the game. But if you're like me and you like to just jump into 1v1s immediately, I definitely recommend just like taking the same approach as me and just like or just like the approach that you would take going into like a League of Legends game for the first time. Like pick one character, learn how that one character works, and then just jump in and try to have a good time. Like you're going to struggle a bit, no doubt, but this kind of leads me into like something that Age of Empires does really, really well. And that is if you're playing a game and you have a question about how anything in this game works whatsoever, your question will be answered immediately and thoroughly every time. And this can be seen by, first of all, you have the ability to just open up the tech tree at any moment, and you can just look at any upgrade or any path or any ability and learn how it works. But my favorite addition, or just my favorite like thing that they added here, is that every unit or object, like a sentry tower, a gold mine, like even this oak tree, like you can click this little exclamation point and this will immediately give you every single piece of information that you need about that object, and it'll actually order it in like order of most important to least important, starting with what the unit is, what it does, and what it counters, and then it goes all the way down to like what the lore of the unit is, which I think is really cool. And all that being said, the economy is definitely the trickiest part to learn about the game still, even with all the tooltips. And the other thing I wanted to touch on that is also tricky to learn is kind of the pathing. And the pathing in AoE games is definitely its weakest point. Something you must immediately get used to as a StarCraft player coming into the AoE universe is spam clicking units is actually something that's not useful at all. And what I mean by that is that if you were to have like an individual unit and you were to send it in any direction, like it does work as good as StarCraft 2's pathing. You can send it anywhere you want. It's not going to really bug out. The problem really comes in when you have large groups of units. And this is due to those not familiar. This is due to the formation, army formation mechanic that's in Age of Empires games. So when units move around, they like to kind of walk in a pattern together. And you're actually given the option to choose between different patterns as you walk. So there's like a big box pattern, there's a spread formation, and then there's like a condensed line formation, just to show you what they look like. So like that's spread out. You can put them together. And I think that's like one of the coolest things about the game is that you can do this. You can just like mess around with them. And I think it'd be a cool feature even in StarCraft, but some would argue it takes away some of the micro. But that's what differentiates the games, right? This is a different way of microing units. And the reason this is bad to spam click is that basically every time you like send these units around or click a new command, they like reconfigure their movement. And it's actually just not optimal to give multiple commands in a row. It's actually most efficient to just like give a move command here, an a move command here, a move command here. Now, I'm not just saying that you can't spam click anything, like I said, or that the game is like slow and that you have to like be slow all the time while you play. What I'm saying is that the style of micro is just going to be a little bit different in general. I'm not saying that there is like a limit to the APM. Like you'll still find that there's no APM limit. Like it's going to be impossible for you to optimize a game of Age of Empires, just like how it's impossible to optimize a game of Starcraft. Like it's going to be infinitely hard to keep up. You just spend your time a little bit differently in an Age of Empires game. I'm not saying you can't control like 3 different groups of armies on 3 different parts of the map while you're harassing here and defending units here. Like, I'm not saying any of that. And another thing people have a hard time getting into is the whole hero mechanic thing. And I'll admit, guys, I was never really a huge fan of this either. Even when I was a kid and I played this game, I wasn't the biggest fan. But taking a closer look recently, I kind of see that hero units in this game are really just like regular units with like the word hero attached and just like a bunch of like buffed up stats. And what I mean by that is that heroes in this game aren't your typical hero. Like they don't have 4 abilities with like a passive and like a bunch of other stuff that you have to read. It's just like a hero in this game is like a hero with 1 ability, and that 1 ability is probably on auto cast. So it's like easy to like micro armies with heroes in them. They're basically just units with like more attack and more like defense stats for the most part. So if you're worried that you'd be spending too much time microing a single hero or that like it would take away from the game too much, I assure you that's not the case. And one last thing I want to compare in this section is the walling off mechanic. Something that's always bugged me about SE2 is that no matter what base you spawn in, on no matter what map, no matter what year you played the game in, you will always spawn in a fully enclosed base with a single entrance and a single ramp that can be walled off with the exact 3 buildings, same 3 buildings every single game. This immediately created a heavy limitation on the types of maps that you can play in a competitive game of SE2. And as someone who's been a part of the SE2 community as long as I have, I've noticed that like the maps have like even just started to become repeats of old maps because there's really just so many different variations of this exact same layout that you can make. And this gives Age of Empires like sort of an edge because you get to create your own base layout. You'll literally spawn with like different like sets of resources every game. Like trees will spawn differently, golds will spawn differently, and there's different types of maps. Like you'll have maps with rivers on them, maps with like more trees than other maps, maps with like more gold than other maps. Like you got lots of different choices for map creation, and it creates a lot of different types of gameplay. And something annoying about this in SE2 is that there's like no decent wall off mechanic available. You're literally supposed to either build a pylon right before something tries to run up your ramp, or you're supposed to raise a depot at the last second, or if you're Zerg, you're just supposed to go yourself. And that's why one of the coolest and my favorite things about any Age of Empires game is that you're given the ability to just turn any wall into a gate. And it's that simple, guys. Like, my units can walk through this, and my opponents cannot. Moving on to the next section, I wanted to talk to you guys about the technology in this game. And the best way that I can start is by sharing with you guys a moment that happened earlier in this week. And so just for context, this clip is from the end of a super, super long macro game, like a super long back and forth, 40-minute long. Like I couldn't figure out how to kill my opponent, so I spent a bunch of time like saving up money so I can build one of those Titans. And this clip starts right as my Titan comes out. Basically, the entire game is about to come down to one fight, one moment to see who the winner is. And take a look at what happens here. Yeah, he can actually stomp on the wall if it's a wood wall. Oh my. Go. And just so we're clear, the Titan stomping on the walls is not the part I wanted to show you. I just thought it was cool, but keep watching, keep watching. Oh, shit. Oh, what the? Kill it. So the game desyncs and ends at the end of a 40-minute ranked match. But wait, The clip isn't over yet.
Wait, he's joined. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. There's no way that there's no way that the technology is there for this. There's no way. Chat, it's literally starting the game. What? Ah! Kill him!
Chat. So not only did it automatically save my ranked match, slap me in a lobby with my opponent, and auto start where we left off, but it did it flawlessly and quickly too. You, Stormgate. I said I wouldn't do that again. Now, I also want to just take some time to absolutely just fangirl over the audio design of this game with you guys. Literally every single audio line is pleasing to listen to over and over again, which is so important for an RTS player like me that has a lot of APM and likes to spam click on things frequently. I can literally do stuff like this all day and not get bored. Now, there are some issues with DMCA currently in streaming, like there are some tracks that are getting flagged, so I haven't been able to add any music to this video, but let me assure you guys the music is absolutely full of bangers as well. So if you're looking to scratch that RTS itch and don't mind learning something new, I couldn't recommend Age of Mythology Retold enough to you guys. Start with the campaign if you can. It's literally one of the all-time greatest campaign experiences for me personally. And I'm going to continue to just grind the game out on my live stream. I'm currently just like trying to get top 200 on the ladder, and I'm going to be doing that all the way up until Battle Aces actually goes into its next beta phase. So definitely tune into that if you guys think that's interesting. And other than that, like, let me know down below what you guys think of AOM. Like, are you going to try it? Did I convince you of anything? Do you disagree with anything I said? Let me know, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.